for this one, we have bird watchers explore a forest to see which of the following 6 kinds of birds. So we have G, H, J, M, S, and W it contains. So this is an in and out game, right? Because we either have people in the forest or we have people out. So if we're in, I'm going to circle it. And if we're out, I'm going to slash it. So this one starts with if H are in the forest, then G are not. So I'm automatically going to create 2 scenarios. And what do you think I'm going to do to the 2 scenarios?
Flip-flop the slashes and the circles with the G and with the H and the G.
Kind of. All we pay attention to is our sufficient condition. So we say if H are in the forest. So in one of them, we're going to make H in the forest. In the other one, we're going to make H out of the forest. Does that make sense?
But then what about G in the second world?
We don't know. See, and this is what helps us because so many people forget that they can't just, like if you don't have your sufficient, that means nothing for the second part, right? So if we have H, what does that mean?
No G.
No G. So we know that in the first world, but we don't know anything about G in the second world.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now I'm going to read my second rule where it says if J's or M's are in the forest, then so are H. So this rule essentially is saying is that if we have J, then we have H, or if we have M.
This is where it's getting confusing for me.
Yep. This one I would just skip for now. I'm just going to skip it because that has a lot going on. Just going to skip it. Go to the next one. If W's are in the forest, then so are G. Well, in our first one is if we did put W's in the forest here, would that work?
No.
No, because we already have G out. So I don't even have to worry about this one. But remember, we only are paying attention to our sufficient. So I'm going to automatically split my second world. You do split your worlds a lot. But what I think you're going to like about this is while it's weird because it's backwards from what we're thinking, if you go in with the mindset that you're just going to do it.
Why are you splitting this?
Because for this one, it says if W is in the forest.
So why can't you just circle it in the second world?
Because, okay, I'm going to show you in 1 second. So this one, remember, we have to copy it. And so now what we do with this third rule is we make one where W is in the forest and we make one where W is not in the forest. So we have every scenario taken care of. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. We have to circle one of the G's.
Yeah, so if W is in the forest, then what happens?
G is in.
Yeah, but do we know anything about now my world number 3 here? About G?
No.
No, excellent. Okay, so now we go on to our fourth rule, and it says if J's are not in the forest, then S's are. We don't know anything about J's or S's thus far. And so this is going to be where you're like, no, you're not going to make me do this, but I am.
Am I making another?
You have to split all of them.
The fuck?
Yep.
So like, how do I split between a circle and 2 lines? Because the lines prevail there. There's more lines than circles.
Yep. Okay. So here we are going to split every single one of our worlds. So let's start with the first one. And so remember, all we do is copy it over exactly. So I have it exactly right. I'm going to cross this off and circle it. And I'm just going to quickly do it for all of them. So G.
We haven't even done the second rule.
But if you look at it, it includes one of them. So it's going to probably not be as intense as we think it's going to be. All right, so I'm splitting all of these. So I'm going to circle G, cross off H, circle W, cross off H, cross off W. Okay, so now we're paying attention to this third rule if J's are not in the forest. So on the left side, I'm going to make J's are not in the forest in all of them. But on the right side, I'm going to make it so J is always in the forest.
And S.
Well, hold on. I'm going to.
Oh, we don't know. We don't know.
I haven't read it yet. So if J's are not in the forest, then S's are. So if J's are not in this whole left side, we get to put S's in the forest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. But we don't know anything. And this is what helps a lot of people is if it doesn't happen, we can't make it. So we don't have to worry about getting our contrapositives messed up. Which this is actually what it made me think of you is sometimes you know how sometimes you flip your contrapositives.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody does. Cool. So now we're up to this point. So now let's go back to this one where it says if J or M is in the forest, then we must have H. Okay. So wait, if J's are in the forest, then J or M is in the forest, then so are H. So let's look through here really quick and see, do we ever
You have
have
to cross
J?
off the M's in the last two.
Yes. Okay, so let's look, sorry, I think you said it, but we're gonna look through and see, do we ever have J circled? Yes, on this right side, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when we have J? We must have H. And so these worlds here die because they don't work. They contradict one of our rules.
Mm-hmm.
We got to just cross them off. And so there's all of that. And then this last one is if we have M, we must have H. Well, in this one here, it doesn't matter. So I'm sorry, I'm going to go here. I'm going to call this number 4. We have J and we have M. So it does, and we have H. So it doesn't matter if we have M or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
So M, S, and W are all floaters here. They can do whatever they want. On this right side, though, if we have M, we must have H. Well, so I'm going to call this world 2 and world 3. In world 2 or world 3, can we have M?
No.
No, because we already don't have H. So all we have to do is cross these off, which is super nice. And so in world number 3, the only one that we don't know about is G. It could be in or it could be out. And then up above, M and S, does it matter if we have M or W?
No.
No, we could have it or not have it. So those are floaters too. And so we just created the 4 scenarios that can possibly happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you look, okay, so let's go ahead and start with number 7. If both M and H are in the forest, then which of the following must be true? So we're going to look for the scenarios that have both M and H. Where could that possibly happen?
First one and the fourth.
Oh, yep. So I'm just going to use a highlighter on this. So we could have it here or we could have it here. So go ahead and try answering this question.
Like E.
Okay, so let's start.
Hold on. I'm not going to combine them though, right? I'm looking just at one specific world.
Yep. So let's start with A. S's are the only other bird in the forest. So for this scenario, I'll just circle it. So we're saying that M is in and M is in here. Must it be true that S is the only other bird in the
Oh, you did number 7. Oh, I was looking at number 6. Sorry.
Oh, no, sorry, number 7. Yep.
Okay, hold on. D.
Yeah, that there's at least 2 other kinds of birds in the forest. Yeah, because we see that here. We see it here. It has to happen. And here it has to happen. So it must be true. All right, go ahead and try number 8. We're looking at if J's are not in the forest. So we're looking at these 3 worlds over here.
I looked at the first world for D.
Okay, we actually need to look at all of these. It has to be true in all of these. So it must be false. So if J's are not in the forest, can M's be in the forest? Yeah, in world 1, right? Yep. Can H's be in the forest? Yep, in world 1. Can neither Martins nor Harrises be in the forest?
World 2.
Correct. Can neither Martiners nor S's be in the forest?
See, like I don't see it anywhere.
Right here, right? Because doesn't it happen here?
Well, S is circled and M is not.
But couldn't M be circled? Because we don't M and W
You have to do something then to mark the could be then, because I'm not going to remember that.
must, yeah. Well, if it's not circled, that means they're just floaters. They can do either way. They're just like floaters in any other game. Like they can go either way. They're like, there's no, but the cool part is there's no rules holding them back. There's like nothing you have to think about.
Mm-hmm.
And then E is saying H and S's are the only birds in the forest. Well, we know that's not true, right? That H and S, must it be false that H and S's are the only birds in the forest? Like, could that ever happen? I guess it could. It could happen in
Must
World
be
War.
false. What does that mean again? All 4 of them are true?
Like 4 of them could happen, and 1 of them could never happen. So, could it ever happen that H and S's are the only birds in the forest?
Yeah, in the first world.
Yeah. So that's why our answer is D, is because it's saying that neither M
That's
nor.
what I said.
Yeah, no, you were right.
Oh.
I was just making sure you were right for the right reasons.